The Treaty of Versailles gets to kind of be that it girl of the end of World War One, but there were actually a lot of treaties that were signed. Versailles, of course, had a major historical impact in that a lot of people say it led directly to World War II because of how harsh it was on Germany. But there was also a treaty with Austria, and there was also a treaty with Hungary. So again, Versailles was the treaty just between the Allied powers and Germany, or what was becoming the Weimar Republic directly after World War One. But the treaty with Austria and Hungary, those are two separate treaties because Austria-Hungary entered World War One as a unified empire, but right at the end, they collapsed. So there's a treaty with Austria. They wanted to be called German Austria, but the Allied powers were like, you guys got to get rid of that German identity. And that also, contributed to early stuff of World War II because Austria was very willing to be annexed by Germany because they held this close thing and they had been bitter for World War One, and it was a very questionable country, even if it should be a country after World War One. And then Hungary also, again, its own separate treaty. Both of those treaties are honestly what made the biggest impact on, all the different countries of Europe, because that's what actually created, Czechoslovakia and gave lands to Poland, what officially made Austria and Hungary separate, created the, kingdom of, what ultimately became Yugoslavia, but at the time it was a mouthful of a name. Outside of that, there are actually 3 more treaties because, as a lot of people know, the U.S. refused to sign the Treaty of Versailles, mostly because of the League of Nations, which is funny because it was our own president, Woodrow Wilson, that came up with the idea of the League of Nations, but the Republican-controlled Senate at the time was like, we're not going for that. So there were 3 more treaties, the U.S.-German Treaty, the U.S.-Hungarian Treaty, the U.S.-Austria Treaty, and all of them basically just said, yeah, we want all that same stuff that you promised the Allied powers in Versailles and the other treaties, except we're not joining that League of Nations. It was really seriously like 3 articles. Article 1 was like, we get all the same stuff. Article 2 was, here's what we're not going to do, which was just the League of Nations. And Article 3 was like, and here's how you're going to pay us money for it. So 6 treaties, just between all of, that little area with the U.S. and all of these people with the Allied powers in Germany, Austria, Hungary. There's a lot of treaties that ended World War One. But, happy Veterans Day, Armistice Day, wherever you're at in the world. Today at least marks the 107th anniversary of the end of World War One.